All right, good afternoon. I am here with Dr. Schmidt of the famous Dr. Schmidt family, and he has come by to talk just for a few minutes. And Dr. Schmidt has K-12's mantra with radically student-centered approach and design. What's the first thing that pop into your head that would kind of fit that slogan, or what do you think?
Well, I think the first things that you're going to do if you're going to build a building is one is you've got to have, let me state the obvious, you've got to have kids in the meetings. You've got to bring them to the table. And you got to do two things. And we did both. One is you have to get kids to other schools. You have to have them see what other schools look like. Because if you're in an area, everybody thinks they know what a school looks like. But sometimes you need to go out and find the exemplars, the benchmarking, and that was key. So we took our kids to a bunch of different schools and they got to see what other schools look like. And of course, after doing that, they were all full of suggestions for us to have. And then the second thing you need to do is when you're doing the early designs, you have to have them at the table because there's a process that the architects in Cunningham was great working with them. You just got to trust the process. It works well. But the kids came up with some things that the adults never would have. Like we had 3 buildings, 2 elementaries and 1 high school. And when we're designing the buildings, for example, the kids said, hey, we want a slide. Put a slide in the building. And we kind of looked at each other and go, well, why couldn't we put a slide in the building? So we did. So one of our elementary schools has a slide right in the main area. You go zoom. Even the adults have fun going down it. And then because of the fun, they want to have fun, they want to move. We heard that from kids. We don't want to sit in stuffy desks all day long. So we put a ninja gym in the other elementary school, in an elementary school. And as far as I know, think Ninja Warrior, we're the only school that has one of those in an elementary school. And so you got to listen to the kids and pay attention to what they're actually saying, because the kids, when they were around talking about it, we heard them say, we want a bunch of different spaces. We're tired of these square rectangular rooms. So we want smaller rooms, we want medium rooms, and then we need a big area to break out. And so that's what we did. We did create those kind of rooms. So it was awesome. And the last thing the kids said, please don't put us in concrete bunkers where the windows are like 3 inches by 2 inches high. We want to look outside. We need light. We need to see what's going on outside. And so we have floor to ceiling windows in parts of our building, and it's just incredible awesome. So those are the 2 most important things.
That's amazing. So, as a retired principal, I oversaw school operations and student staff, et cetera. But, as a superintendent, you're looking at such a bigger picture. And so, what principles really guide you when you're thinking or designing a space that really put them in the center? I know we talked about the involvement and going to other schools. It seems like you're pretty into trying to say yes to students.
We are, but we also have adults there. And of course, everybody's worried about the budget. So you're kind of doing a balancing act with all of that because you can't afford what everybody wants. So the biggest principles I would say when you're looking at this, how you do this, think classroom teaching, think instruction first. For when we started doing this, of course, everybody wanted to design the football field first. Everybody wants to know where's the baseball, softball field. So we said, no, we're not talking about that. We're not going to design any athletic facilities until we're done with the instructional high school and the elementaries. And that's what we did. And that wasn't happy for people, but we said, no, we're not going to build a Texas football stadium. We're going to build instructional areas first. So the important thing, sometimes you lose the most important thing, is instruction first. So that's what we did. And so the second thing we looked at is, where is the future of education going? What do we need to pay attention to? Because so many schools, they build buildings as if it's 1980. I'm not sure why they're doing this, but they do. So, because if you're going to spend $130 million, build something unique that actually is going to meet the forward learning for the kids. And in our case, we did a massive community process. I was involved in over 150 community meetings. So if somebody asks you, what do you need to do to get this started? Have 150 meetings before you decide to build a building. Lay the groundwork. So after the meetings, our community said, hey, let's do a career academy. We think that makes sense. And so we did. And so before we ever started designing, we knew we were building a career academy for all kids, not just career and tech. And in that, we also knew that we wanted the whole building to be involved. Project-based learning was going to be important, inquiry was going to be important, and multiple learning spaces. So we needed small group, medium group, and we needed some double classrooms so kids could work together. That makes a huge, huge difference when you're designing a building. And then the last thing I'll say, when you put it truly student-centered, you got to put the kids right in the middle of stuff. So our media center or library, if you're remember those days when we called them library, we put our media center right in the middle of a hallway. So kids, when they're going from one hallway corridor to another, they have to walk through our library. It's great. It's kind of like a Barnes and Noble concept. Think that way, because normally they're in the corner of the building and nobody knows where the media center unless you have a GPS tracker or something like that. And then we also put the art rooms in the same thing in the middle of the hallway. So we have part of a classroom that's literally in the hallway. And kids, when they're working on stuff, they can spread out, sprawl, because when the bell is done ringing, think about it, you're wasting that hallway space because nobody's using it. So we thought, well, let's use it. So that's how you put students at the center of learning.
That's amazing forward-thinking perspective. I appreciate you stopping by, Dr. Schmidt, and thanks for all the work.
Thank you very much.